Well, not for very long.
What's going on, guys? We are back in the garage working on the El Camino project today. We got a lot done in the first couple days, and I really need to kick it into high gear because we've got some racing coming up, so I need to get this thing hopefully at least moving under its own power. Maybe not ready to hit the highway yet, but at least moving is going to be the goal. I was looking over some of the comments in the last video, a lot of great suggestions, a lot of great stuff. We kind of left it hanging in the balance because I wasn't sure if the engine and trans placement were going to work. I know that the transmission cross member has to be moved, but what I want to do today is start off right off the bat by figuring out, is the drive shaft going to work? I know we can move the motor back maybe 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, something like that based on the frame mounts, but none of that's going to matter if it's going to screw up our drive shaft length. So let's get under there, check the drive shaft length where it sits right now, and if it's good where it's at, we're probably just going to leave it where it's at and then move the transmission cross member up. If we need a little bit further back, we know we've got it and we'll start working on that. Either way, game plan today is going to be tie down that drive shaft length, get the cross member mount maybe in position, maybe not the holes drilled through the frame, but at least get the trans cross member in position, start getting headers on, start working on fuel system, start working on ignition, start working on everything it's going to take to button this thing up and get it fired up. Let's get to it. Now, you got to be careful with that other end. There's caps on there, so if you go banging it around and stuff, it's going to lose the caps, and there's needle bearings in it, and they'll go everywhere. So just try to be careful, like not banging that other side where the U-joint is. Don't worry about putting it in on that end or anything yet. We're going to make sure this thing fits. Oh, there we go. Woo! Alright, now put it up in a position in there. Wow. That drive shaft length looks perfect. Like, it's going to be perfect right there. We got most of the way in, but we still have some room out. So as it fluctuates, yeah, we're not moving this motor.
That sounds like some other good news.
Kind of. I mean, moving the motor would be work. I would rather have it sitting far back, but what I would really rather do is have this thing work with the original drive shaft so we don't have to get another one. I'm not mad at that. Cool. Alright, checked out the positioning of the drive shaft. What's important, when the yoke goes into the trans, that thing is going to move in and out. As the rear goes up and down and does different stuff, the yoke has to be able to move in and out. So right now, we've got probably about an inch or so where it can go in. And if we move the motor and trans and everything back 1.25 inches, it's going to be butted right up against the tail shaft, and it's not going to be able to move in. And anytime it wants to move in, it's just going to be pushing on the ass end of that trans, and it's going to break it. So as much as I'd love to move the motor back, we ain't moving the motor back. It's going to have to stay right there to work with the drive shaft that we've got. That's something we could change in the future if we wanted to, but it's just a cruiser. We just want to make it work, so that's what we're going to go with. Well, there's going to be 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4s on the other side, so go ahead and start working on getting those out. We're just going to slide it into position for now because you see this loop here? That loop is for the exhaust. And since we're going to do dual exhaust, I need to get another one that has a double loop, or we're going to have to cut and weld and do all kind of crazy stuff to that one. So I'll probably, since we're not running the exhaust yet, we're just going to do open headers. We'll probably slide this forward, set it in place, and get that hooked up. And then I'll go ahead and order one with the double humps for the dual exhaust so we can run a full exhaust on this thing eventually. This is like one of the most exciting packages ever. The worst part is it's not even car related. Kind of car related. When you get older, you take great pleasure in certain things. Like, I found something that I really, really like. I was like, I need multiple. And here it is. Black pants. The black pants I've been wearing, look at that. Perfect. I'm not gonna tell you how many pairs of these are in this bag, but just know that if you guys see me wearing the same black pants over and over again, it's because I got multiple pairs. That thing's really stuck in there, huh? There we go. They fit in. Somebody online said that the passenger side ones will fit in straight from the top, but I don't know if that's gonna count with the starter there or not. We're probably gonna have to remove the starter, but I can see it. Go ahead.
Well,
Just try to
not.
It's alright, you're gonna scratch the paint up and ding it up.
Oh, sorry, Nick.
No, that's just
You did a really good job, bud.
yeah, with that heater box.
Hold up. Get it. And then just no. Just turn and wiggle. Maybe.
Now, is the starter in the way? If I move that big ass starter, do you think you'll get some? I don't know. I feel like we need to lift the motor up.
It looks like it, but maybe come in from under, maybe?
We can try to come in from here.
I'm happy to try. Before I get in too deep and then get stuck.
No, hold on. Well, let me pull the starter off first, and then we'll jack the front end up.
Well, if you pull the starter off, I might not need to go up from under.
Well, then let's just pull the starter off anyway, because I think no matter what, the starter is going to screw us. All block Chevy, we don't have this problem with LS, but sometimes to get it just right against the flex plate, there's shims. There's different thickness of shims you could put in here. That's how you adjust it. But this one didn't have any shims, and I know that this engine has ran before with this starter, so I think we're good.
Still no.
Still no?
Still no.
Yeah, we can't get the right angle. Alright, so let's try jacking up the front and doing it. Yep.
Look, I just don't think it's gonna fit.
Let me see.
Weak wrist. That's not happening. Like I was trying to hold it upside down and backwards with my wrist.
Do like LS swaps and stuff, I would always sit the headers just down in place as I lowered the engine in, like not hook them up, but just put them in the hole, and it made the motor mounts probably a little bit harder to get to, but it made the headers a whole heck of a lot easier.
Keep going?
Keep going. Keep it going till you hear something break or me yell. So you can go a little further. Stop. Almost there. We got one sort of in place. Have you seen my Brett Nick?
Should we write it down there?
Okay. There we go.
Oops.
Slowly.
I was trying slowly.
That one's in. Alright, everybody let go of it. Almost, but not really. Alright, so now, babe, what you can do, so these gaskets, right, the way these things work, you can go ahead, you can start the bolts, right, because you can set this down. Like when the 2 bolts are started, you can put this in between the header and this, it'll just sit on the bolts. So go ahead and start getting, these are your new header bolts. Get the header up in place, start putting them all in. Don't tighten them because you still got to slide that gasket in there. But go ahead and start getting all that in place.
Dang it. Got it? Yeah. Oh no! Same thing happened. It's right here. Right there.
How far that one tightens down. Spark plugs. It says the part number is 24. Alright, we struck out on that one a little bit. We're kind of taking a break because we got to the point where we're getting really pretty close to being able to fire this thing up, and I needed spark plugs. We're obviously going to need that, and I needed some hose clamps and that kind of stuff. They didn't have the radiator hose or the heater hoses. We can try to scavenge the old ones, order some online, but we can still fire it up with no water in the block, just we can't run it very long at all and don't want to mess it up. So we're going to get back to work. I'd really like to hear this thing crank and fire off tonight, even if it's just on, you know, pouring some gas in the carb, turning the key and hearing it fire up. I think that'll be a big motivator for us because we've got a lot of stuff to do in the next week. We got to start getting ready to go racing, and I really need to get this project done, or at least, you know, moving under its own power, hopefully, would be the goal. So let's get back to work. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna assume that line painted on there is the top dead center line. So what I need you to do, and get this thing ready for spark plugs. So I need you to put your finger over that hole, because what we're going to do is we're going to rotate it over to top dead center of compression stroke, so that way we can drop the distributor in and we should be close to where we need to be to fire it up.
Oh, yeah.
0 on that line, so that should be top dead center.
Okay.
And because you felt the air pushing on you, it should be compression stroke.
Okay, so I see 12, 8.
There's a 0 right there.
You're right. I know what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, don't worry about those other numbers.
those numbers don't matter.
No. Not for what we're doing.
Unimportant.
Because we'll do it, we'll set it with the timing light once we get it fired up. You can start getting spark plugs in. I would start them all by hand. We got some NGKs. Spark plugs in. It's set at top dead center. I'm probably still going to move it so that way we can drop the distributor in. The parts store didn't have hoses that we needed. Didn't have a bunch of stuff. So right now we're going to split up and I'm going to start connecting some wiring. We're going to start working on ignition. If you guys want to grab the hoses, the upper and lower radiator hoses off the old engine, we'll use those temporarily until we order a set and they come in, and it's time to just thrash, because if we thrash for like another hour or so, we should be at the point where we can at least see if this thing will fire.
Okay.
Sound good?
Grab the hoses?
Good.
Sounds awesome.
We're gonna thrash time.
Think of it like when you put on a pair of pants that's too tight. You really gotta work to get them off at the end of the day. Now you could probably pull on it while you do this.
super important to check. As I was getting ready to throw this distributor in there, it looks like we've got some broken teeth on the gear. That's gonna cause us trouble. We don't have another gear for that, which means we're gonna have to go with the old faithful HEI vacuum deal, which is not what I wanted to do. This will get it running until we can get the appropriate distributor gear. Could be something that a local parts store has, but let's just see if this thing even runs first. So unfortunately, Mallory's working on that ignition box that we're not going to be using just yet. We'll see if we can make this work for now and then go on from there. We got some hacked up stuff going on right now. I need longer battery cables and all kinds of stuff, but I want to at least see if we can keep moving in the right direction. All right, what I need you to do is turn it on. All right, now you're gonna bump the starter. Okay, that doesn't work anymore, so you can let that go. Go ahead and bump it again. Nah, I think that battery's shot.
Oh, it's right here. You could just ask.
Well, we bumped it, and then the distributor fell exactly in the place where it needed to be. All right, bump it again. A little less, just quick. One more quick one. Cool, distributor is in place. Now we just need 10 million more parts and pieces to make it all work. So even though this isn't the right thing to do, we're gonna try firing this thing up just because it's getting a little late. If we wait any longer to try to fire it up, the kids are gonna be asleep and everything. And sometimes when you're in the middle of a project like this, you need to just hear it run, get that motivation to finish it all the way out, all that kind of stuff. Mallory's been working hard, Nick's been working hard. So I wanna see if we can't just at least fire it up. Now, when I was thinking about dumping fuel in this thing, I was looking at the carb, and on the side here, where the adjusters are, it's missing the screws, which tells me that probably if we put fuel in it, it's gonna dump out everywhere out the side here. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap this carb out for another one that's sitting here. It's probably way too much carb for it and everything else, but it should, we're not hooking up fuel lines yet or anything, we're just dumping fuel in the carb, but that should make it run. And all we wanna do right now is just hear that. The distributor issue is what it is. We might end up just keeping the HEI, because now that I think about it, it's just one less thing on this car that can fail, and it's readily available at parts stores, all that kind of stuff. She just wants to drive, she just wants to cruise. So sometimes I need to take a step back and go, hey, this is really simple and it works. We're not racing it just yet. Maybe when we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But Nick ran to the parts store just because I needed a couple more things. He's gonna grab some longer battery cables so I can make those up real quick so we can actually sit the battery down in the tray and not have it rubbed up against everything. I'm gonna swap this carb out, so when he gets back, we will have the carb swapped out. We might not even throw the timing light on it just yet because it's gonna be a quick fire up. We don't have cooling system. One of the lower hoses that we wanted to use, we can't use. We'll just keep thrashing away until it's time to start this thing up.
Inside.
Yeah. Now go ahead and put this on there. 2 hands. Nope. This way. That way. Yep. Now put one washer on each one. So on this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, go ahead.
All right, Uncle Nick, you're next. Go ahead.
We need everything, tools, everything that doesn't have to be on here. Get it all off. Some of this. Hold on.
My car's not gonna be loud like this.
Yes, it is. Very carefully take the spark plug wires off that other cap.
About to find out.
It's 184.5 something. Alright. Ella, watch out. We're gonna try to start it up. So if you want to sit in it, sit in it. Okay. Alright, crank it up. Good. Go ahead, crank her up. Go ahead. On film, because everybody's gonna be like, oh, the garage, you didn't open the doors was open, we got an exhaust fan going, calm down. We just had to hear it fire one time.
Thank you.
It runs.
Well, not for very long.
Now, oh, she did semantics. Semantics.
Well, you want me to be out? It runs, yes.
It does run, yep. Well, now all I gotta do is put a fuel system to it. It didn't even get to run long enough to really check the oil pressure. And I got to put a timing light on it. We got some stuff to check out, but I think it's a good stopping point for today.
Wait, one more time.
Yeah, one more time. And then we'll do it now. Hold on. Let me get some fuel. Well, guys, I think that's going to be it for today. We got it to fire up. It runs. Gave us all the motivation we need. That should get us highly motivated to get it finished up. We got to get a couple hoses. I know. We still got to hook up the water pump. We got to do the fuel system. I got to get a shifter. Like, there's a lot of stuff left to do, but I feel a lot better leaving it at this point. What do you think? Cool.
Very happy.
So we can definitely make something work here. So as always, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, do the whole thing.
Thank you for
Bam.
liking El Camino.
El Camino, bam.
Oh, I don't do all that.
No, I don't know. I've been working on this thing for like the last 4 days straight. What started as a simple motor swap, we've got a new motor, a new trans. We've done switch distributors, switched carbs up. Everything that I thought was going according to plan hasn't gone according to plan, but that's just how it is sometimes. So, thank you guys as always. I'm out. I'm ready for some
Bye.
cuddle time on the couch.
You gotta wash first.
Maybe.